It's all sports, all day long on CBS Sports HQ.
Welcome back into CBS Sports HQ. It is time to go head-to-head, presented by Marines, the constant amidst shifting threats. Well, this week, plenty of teams going head-to-head, with each trying to punch their ticket to the postseason or get better seeding. But one in particular, with the winner of the Titans-Jags Saturday, they get to claim the crown of the AFC South. Trevor Lawrence hitting his stride for the Jags this season under head coach Doug Peterson. The Jags coming into this one having won 4 straight, which kicked off with a win over the Titans back in December 11th. In that game, Trevor Lawrence becoming the first Jags player in franchise history with 300-plus passing yards, 3 or more touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, and 0 interceptions. Only despite the recent wins, he has failed to throw a touchdown pass in 2 straight games. Taking a look at some of those notable Week 18 games, we're going to dive into several of them. Of note, in the Titans-Jags, the Titans, remember, had the 1 seed in the AFC last season. However, Tennessee right now on a 6-game losing streak. Their only way to the postseason is by winning this game, and thus the AFC South. If this game ends in a tie, the Jags go ahead and win that division. So let's welcome in NFL and betting expert Tyler Sullivan, explain some of these head-to-head matchups we're going to be looking at in these games. Also give us some picks for some of the Week 18 games. Let's start with Titans and Jags. AFC South on the line. Do or die for the Titans. If the Jags lose, they can still claim the 7 seed. What is the matchup to watch here? And maybe you're picking this one. Jags favored by 6.5.
Yeah, I think it's Trevor Lawrence versus the Tennessee Titans secondary, because that's an area where I think Jacksonville can look to exploit. As good as Travis Etienne has been over the last few weeks here, over 100 yards in 2 of the last 3 games, I don't think he's going to be able to run the football effectively in this matchup whatsoever. The Tennessee Titans ranked number 2 in the NFL in DVOA against the pass. You look at what they do in the secondary in that same regard, 28th in the NFL in DVOA against the pass. So for me, this is where Trevor Lawrence can look to cook and try to propel his team into the postseason. And we've seen him emerge over these last 8 games. The Jaguars are 6-2 in that stretch, and he is playing like a guy we thought he was going to be coming out of Clemson as the number 1 overall pick, a generational type of quarterback. He's not there quite yet, but he's ascending in that direction. 12 to 14 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. He has one of the highest passer ratings in the NFL over that stretch. To me, you're looking at a quarterback that is putting himself on the map. And when you look on the other side, and Mike Vrabel, as good as he is, he's starting Josh Dobbs, who was on a practice squad not too long ago. So you look at this Titans team, it feels like they're kind of limping into Week 18. Meanwhile, you have a Jaguars team is kind of clicking on all cylinders at this point. And with this line under a touchdown at 6.5, I'll gladly take the Jaguars here.
Yeah, and again, Trevor Lawrence with those historic stats in that first one against the Titans here. All right, Chiefs-Raiders. Look, Raiders, nothing to play for here but pride. They did give the 49ers a run for their money on Sunday. Hello, Jarrett Stidham. Chiefs, they are still vying for that 1 seed. What is the matchup you're watching in this one? And the Chiefs, can they cover the 9 at home?
Yeah, I think it's Davante Adams versus this Kansas City secondary. You go back to Week 5, this dude in Davante Adams was putting up ridiculous numbers on limited work. He had 3 catches for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, that reminds me of that Randy Moss Minnesota Vikings line that we always see go viral at certain points during the season. He was an absolute beast in that game, and you look at what this matchup could bring. I thought Jarrett Stidham played extremely well under Josh McDaniels in that start, filling in for Derek Carr, who's since been benched. And for some, that could be surprising. For me, it wasn't. I mean, I've seen Jarrett Stidham since he's been drafted in the NFL with the New England Patriots, and he's shown flashes. Obviously, we didn't expect anything like we saw last week against one of the best defenses in the NFL in the 49ers, but I expected him to play well. He's in a system that he's been in his entire career. Obviously, Josh McDaniels was the OC in New England when Jarrett Stidham was drafted, traded for him this offseason when he became the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. He has extreme familiarity. So for me, for him being so comfortable in this offense, I think is only going to make Davante Adams explode even more. So for me, I like the Raiders here +9. In the Kansas City Chiefs, they haven't been a good bet at all this season. They're 5-10-1 against the number. That's tied for the second worst in the NFL, only looking down to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So for me, I'll gladly take the 9 points here with a Kansas City team that struggled to put teams away this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Each of those games games, there's been something a little funky to analyze with the Chiefs. By the way, they will be the 1 or 2 seed, though, depending on what happens in the rest of the AFC. All right, Browns and Steelers. This means nothing for the Browns. The Steelers, they could still get the 7 seed. They do need help. They need the Patriots and the Dolphins to lose. Still, they need to do their part and go ahead and win this. What is the matchup you're watching in this game? And by the way, Steelers favored by 2.5 at home.
You talk about, legit elite matchups. TJ Watt is a game wrecker. And so for me, it's TJ Watt versus Deshaun Watson and how the Browns are going to have to deal with a legitimate difference maker, one of the best in the NFL. We've seen what TJ Watt is able to do when he's reinserted back into this Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Since he's come back, they're only allowing around 16 points per game. I mean, he has been a legitimate force, and they come out on the winning side more often than not. So for me, it's how this Cleveland offense is going to have to deal with him on that side of the ball. And for me, Deshaun Watson, I think it's going to be fascinating. Obviously, Pittsburgh is playing for a playoff spot. They're trying to keep themselves into it. Cleveland, as you mentioned, not playing for anything. But I do think that there's something that they're working towards. They're trying to build this foundation for 2023 under Deshaun Watson. Ever since he's come back from his suspension, it's really been about setting a foundation. These are glorified scrimmages, preseason, however you want to kind of characterize them, for him to shake off whatever rust he has. And I do believe maybe a flip has been switched last week in that second half. 3 touchdowns he threw against the Washington Commanders, was able to help them win that game. I wonder if this is where we're starting to see the Deshaun Watson of the Houston Texans and maybe is possibly going to dash the playoff hopes of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I like them in the 2.5. I liked them a lot when you could get them at a field goal, but I do think that there's a chance you can bet this on the money line, and all of a sudden we're talking about an upset with Cleveland. Obviously, Watson is a main factor here in how he's going to contain TJ Watt, but on the other side of things, the Browns defense has been unbelievable. Over the last few weeks, they're just allowing 14 points per game. It's the best in the NFL. So for me, look out for Cleveland here. They could pull off the upset in Week 18.
Steelers 8-8. Of course, they're trying to keep Mike Tomlin from that first losing season in the past 15. Players say, look, we've talked about it. We don't want to be a part of that losing team. So they do have that in their back of their minds going into this one. All right, Lions and Packers. Look, we love this game. We love what the Lions have become, how the Packers were dead about a month ago. Now they are looking at a playoff berth. Either the Lions, the Packers, or the Seahawks. They will be the 7 seed. Packers' easiest route here, win. They're in. The Lions and the Seahawks, they need some help. What is the matchup you're watching this? Packers favored by 4.5 at home.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love this game so much. And you look at the sports line projections. At one point, both of these teams were under 2% to make the postseason. And now we're talking about both of them possibly making it in. Green Bay, as you mentioned, the easiest path, winning in. There's a scenario here where Detroit gets to this game and they're already out of contention. So there is something to kind of be concerned about if you're taking them in this spot. But for me, it's Jared Goff against this Green Bay Packers secondary. To me, Goff has been playing as well as any quarterback in the NFL so far since week 12. I mean, he has week 13. He has 12 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That's tied for the most touchdown passes in the NFL over that stretch. You look on the other side, Green Bay's defense, they've had more interceptions than touchdowns. Their 9 interceptions are tied for the most in the NFL. They have been playing at an elite level. Jared Goff, 113 passer rating, as you see here. You look on that other side, 71.1. This is going to be a clash between these two, the quarterback and the secondary. I'm curious to see how it pans out. One thing to notice is that this is obviously going to be in freezing temperatures at Lambeau Field. That's not something that Jared Goff has particularly played well in. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers has, so there could be a mismatch there. But I ultimately believe that this is going to be a field goal game. This is going to come down to the wire. I think that the Packers find a way to win, to punch their ticket into the postseason. But because I feel like it's a field goal game, give me the 4.5 with Detroit.
And again, both these teams trying to make it to the playoffs. If the Lions were to win, they do need the Seahawks to lose or tie. Seahawks hosting the Rams Sunday, and they are favored by 6 at home in that one. Tyler, good luck this weekend. Have fun. We're taking notes on all of your picks there. Pick 6 Podcast, your home for everything NFL. Latest episode, of course, talking about Damar Hamlin latest, some of the good news we're hearing there, and getting you ready for Week 18. Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.